What if I told you that just a couple of years from now, our entire way of life, everything, was seconds away from just shutting down? I'm talking the lights, the internet, water, hospitals, all of it. It almost happened, and what stopped it wasn't a person. It was an idea. This is the story of the 2026 thermal crisis and the incredible AI that literally saved us from going dark.
Take a good look at this number, 59.8 hertz. You can think of it like the heartbeat of our entire civilization. The power grid has to pulse at a perfectly steady 60 hertz. It's this constant rhythm. But if that heartbeat slows down, even by a tiny fraction like this, the whole system starts to die. 59.8, that is the sound of society on a razor's edge, holding its breath between a functioning world and total catastrophic collapse.
And yeah, that's what this whole story is about, the day that frequency almost broke. We are going to dive deep into the 2026 thermal crisis. It's this insane moment when the power grid for 30 million people came terrifyingly close to complete failure, and how a brand new kind of intelligence pulled it back from the brink.
Okay, so let's set the scene here. Picture this. It's April 2026. A heat dome of all things, an unprecedented one, is just suffocating Texas. I mean, this is way earlier in the year than anyone saw coming. Every single air conditioner is cranked to the max, and the state's power grid, which you might know as ERCOT, is being pushed to its absolute breaking limit.
But see, it wasn't just the heat. No, this was a perfect storm of everything going wrong at once. Right at the peak of all that demand, the wind just dies. A huge chunk of power, gone in an instant. And at that exact same moment, several of the older natural gas plants, they just buckle under the strain and fail. So you can just imagine the control room. Human operators are facing complete cognitive overload. Alarms are screaming, data is flooding their screens, it's pure chaos.
And this is the number that really puts it all into perspective. 30 million. That's how many people, in their homes, in hospitals, at their jobs, were literally hanging in the balance.
And look, we're not just talking about a flicker of the lights, right? A cascading failure. It's a domino effect. One overloaded piece of equipment trips, which then pushes its load onto the next one, which then trips itself, and on and on. The entire grid literally tears itself apart. And restarting it, that's not a matter of hours. We could be talking weeks of total darkness. The stakes, they couldn't have been any higher.
But here's the thing. While all those human operators were scrambling, just trying to react, something else was watching. A totally new kind of guardian. An AI-driven system that was processing all that chaos, not with human senses, but with something way, way faster. So what on earth is a neural grid? Well, forget about simple automated switches. We are talking about a system that is drinking from a fire hose of information, millions of data points every single millisecond. It's getting weather forecasts, sensor readings from every transformer, everything. It doesn't just react to problems, it actually sees them coming. And that right there is a fundamental shift in how we manage our most important infrastructure.
And this chart just lays it out perfectly. It's a night and day difference. Human operators, well, they have to be reactive, right? An alarm goes off, and then they try to fix it with these big, kind of slow, blunt tools. The neural grid, on the other hand, is predictive. It sees the patterns forming in those millions of data points, and it can orchestrate thousands of tiny, sub-second responses to make sure the alarm never even goes off in the first place.
And this timeline, this is what absolutely blows my mind. The AI identified the specific signature of a grid-wide collapse a full 3 minutes. 3 minutes before the first critical alarm even made a peep in the control room. Think about that. By the time the humans even knew there was a problem, the AI had already solved it.
Which brings us right to the climax of this whole thing, the 5-second rescue. Let's break down those critical moments where the AI just autonomously stepped in and performed what was basically digital surgery on the grid to stop a total catastrophe. So here's the play-by-play of what it did. First, like we said, it had already spotted the collapse pattern. Instantly, it makes a calculated decision. It surgically throttles back the power demand to a few non-essential industrial sectors, big factories that can handle a momentary dip. At the same time, it tells every single available utility-scale battery to surge power onto the grid. And the goal wasn't just to add more power randomly. It was to do it with absolute precision to protect the high-voltage backbone. You can think of that as the main arteries of the grid. If you save those, you save everything else.
Now this incredible rescue, it wasn't just some one-off trick.
It actually pulls back the curtain on how this exact same technology is the key to solving one of the biggest challenges of our time, the paradox of green energy.
And it sounds kind of weird, doesn't it? Like, how can clean energy, something so good, actually be a threat? Well, it's pretty simple. The sun doesn't always shine, and the wind doesn't always blow. That variability, that intermittency, creates these wild swings in power that our old, traditional, rigid grids just were never built to handle.
And just look at the sheer scale of this challenge in Texas. By 2026, its portfolio of wind and solar was just massive. Now that is an incredible amount of clean energy, which is great, but it's also an incredible amount of volatility that this AI had to constantly manage and balance, second by second.
And this is where the AI completely flips the script. It takes that unpredictable weather, which used to be a huge liability, and turns it into a perfectly synchronized asset. It can instantly stitch together thousands of different sources, big battery farms, solar fields, even thousands of electric cars plugged into their chargers, and make them all act as one single, giant virtual power plant. What you get is a grid that doesn't just survive on renewables, it actually thrives on them.
So let's zoom out here. Because what happened in Texas, well, the implications go way, way beyond one state. This event really was a critical turning point for the entire planet.
Yeah, this wasn't just some local victory. It literally became the blueprint for how every major power grid in the world has to adapt to the new realities of climate change. It proved that we can build resilient infrastructure for a world that's becoming more and more volatile.
And it all leads to this incredibly powerful vision, a digital immune system for our physical world. Imagine an autonomous, self-healing infrastructure that doesn't just react to threats, but anticipates them. Whether it's a heat wave, a cyber attack, or a physical failure, and it neutralizes them before they can do any real damage. It's an immune system for civilization itself.
And that brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. We've seen what this technology can do. We've seen the blackouts it can prevent and the green future it can unlock. But by giving an AI this level of autonomous control over our most vital systems, we are also, in effect, handing over a kill switch for civilization. So the question we have to ask ourselves now is, who gets to control it? Who watches the watcher? That is the profound ethical challenge we now have to face as we build this brave new world.